tried to show off my stuffed animals, but they're not, it's not really, there we go. I mean, I set this all up. Y'all can't even see them because I'm in the way. But hello! Oh my gosh. Before we get started, I just want to thank everyone that watched my last What to Expect as a Freshman Early Childhood Education major. I did not expect that video to do as well as it did, but like I said, thank you for watching. Thanks for leaving your questions and everything like that. It just showed me that people are actually interested in this, and a lot of people that want to study in this field don't really know too much about it in depth. The success of that video has inspired me to want to be better at, you know, letting people know what it's like being an early childhood education major. It's just, thank you. So welcome to What to Expect as a sophomore early childhood education major. I will make this same disclaimer as I did in the last video, which also, if you did not watch that video, I'll link it in the cards and in the description box so it will be easy to find for you. My name is Kayla. I'm going to be a junior early childhood education major at Winthrop University. And as I mentioned before, every program, every college does things differently. So while my college did things this way, your college or the program that you're thinking about enrolling in may do things differently. But like I said, I just wanted to give a overall glimpse of how my years as an early childhood education major is going. Take the things I say in this video with a grain of salt because things run differently, but also keep in mind that my sophomore year was full on pandemic mode. A lot of my classes were fully online or hybrid. My sophomore year was not normal at all. I just want you to keep those things in mind while I'm going through this video. If you have any specific questions, leave them down below. I would be more than happy to answer them. Also, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you aren't already. As a sophomore, the big thing education major is that you have to apply to the College of Education. At my school personally, even though we are accepted into Winthrop University, we still have to apply to get into the College of Education, and you would apply your sophomore year. Typically the end of the first semester to the beginning of the second semester is when you want to apply. I believe applications are due April 1st, but you always want to apply to things early. The application was really simple. It was just like the basic things, like your name, your address, test scores. You need to either take the praxis core or have the minimum SAT or ACT score. I was able to waive the praxis with my ACT score, but you also have to do a disposition on yourself. It's really simple, really easy. If you really are genuine about wanting to become a teacher and everything like that, you will not have problems with this application at all. But like I said, not every school may do this, so check to see what your college or program does. I totally forgot to mention this, but about with the College of Education thing, it is really important to apply the sophomore year because starting your junior year is when you take your what we call method classes, junior method classes, which is basically learning how to teach subjects. For example, some of the classes that I'm going to be taking this semester as a junior early childhood education major are teaching mathematics in early childhood, teaching science in early childhood. So it's very important that you apply to get into the College of Education, because if you do not, or if you do not get accepted, you cannot take these classes that you need to get your degree. Apply. Do not do it last minute, even though it is really simple in my opinion application. Just do it and get it out of the way. But let's get into the courses that you will take your sophomore year. I will show the checklist off again. This is from 2019 to 2020 because that's the year that I entered Winthrop University. So if you are going to be a freshman this year, you will have to look at the 2021-2022 checklist, or if you entered in last year, which was 2020, you would have to look at the 2020-2021 checklist. This is what it looks like, and again, we are going to be focusing on this section right here, which is sophomore year. I came prepared for y'all. Yesterday I was writing down all the information that I wanted to tell you about these classes. I have it written down here for you guys. I'm just going to go in order of the classes within this checklist. So the first class is EdCo 201, which is supporting the English as a second language student in the general education classroom, and that is a 2-credit class, and it's only half of the semester. She hasn't seen this setup in a while. So I'm gonna read off the syllabus. It says, as a description for the class, is a lecture and field-based course that applies content of the developmental sciences to working with the English language learner. Students examine the stages of language acquisition, the stages of acculturation, and methods for supporting English language learners in the content area. Is in the on description of what this class was. We were just learning how to work with English language learners and how to best support them. It did say that there's a field study, but because of the events of what was going on my sophomore year, we had to do field study online on this website called Atlas. It's not the best. Obviously you would prefer to be in the classroom, but that just was not an option. We had a textbook for this class, but we didn't use it too much. I do remember there were times that we used it though, so I would buy the textbook for this class. The major assignment for this class is a case study that you have to do. So the main one is case study parts B through D, which on that you have to select, describe, and justify a research supported strategy targeted for the individual English learner, plan a lesson, and reflect on your personal growth. It is quite a bit, but you spend that little half semester working on being able to do your case study. But yeah, I don't really know what to say about this class. I enjoyed it. It is something that is very important because English language learners, a lot of times, like, teachers don't really know how to help them, and so they don't get the help that they need to be successful. So this was a really great course, and I would definitely keep everything. So next is EdCo 202, which is also a half semester course, or 2-credit hours, and this class is supporting exceptionally and gifted learners in the general education classroom. EdCo 201 and 202 kind of go like hand in hand, as in once you end one of the classes you start another one, and they're basically like kind of like the same things, helping English language learners and then helping gifted learners. So I'm gonna read the little excerpt from this syllabus as well. Lecture and field-based course that implies content of the developmental sciences to address the needs of students with disabilities and gifted learners in the general education classroom. Students will explore exceptionally and gifted learner characteristics and implement evidence-based strategies to address the diverse need of exceptional learners. And this is the book that we used. I did have to use this textbook. I don't know if this was because of like what was going on with like the format of classes. This was also a hybrid class, and what I can tell you that happened a lot this school year for me, this sophomore school year for me, is that we had a lot of reading guides to do in all of my classes. Basically, I guess to make up for not having like the class time, we would have to read the textbook and answer questions or like do fill in the blank things and turn those in for reading guides. Whole online schooling, there was a lot of discussion posts that we had to do, a lot of reading guides, and that's basically for like all of my classes. There's also a case study to do in this class. It's kind of like the same one as 201, but you know, you just have to do different things. And there's also a field study for this class, but I don't really remember the field study for this class. I don't even know if we did it. The next class is Math 292, which is geometry for elementary teachers. It kind of goes along with the math I took my freshman year, so math 291. I don't know, like this is what we like had to do. There's a lot of fractions and all that stuff. I mean, it's very simple, you know. With this class, we had 3 tests and the final, and for these classes, we have to do procedural fluency, and we have to pass that with an 85. Math class, fractions, geometry, yay. Oh, what does this say? This says geometry, but this says something different. The syllabus says that this is rational number concepts and algebraic reasoning for teachers. Basically, it doesn't really teach you how to teach math. It's just giving you a refresher on how to do all of this math, because a lot of this stuff I haven't learned since middle school, elementary school. It was a struggle some of the times. Next is CRTW 201, which is critical reading, thinking, and writing. Boy oh boy, this class was a lot. I made it through though. This is a class that everyone has to take at my school. But CRTW 201 focuses on critical reading, critical thinking, and deliberative argumentative writing. My specific professor focused on Martin Luther King Jr., but every professor didn't do that. I'll give you the basis on what each of the essays were supposed to be about. So the first essay was you had to analyze a past mistake using the elements and impediments, which is something that you learned in the class. Then the second essay was an ad analysis. I got a 94 on that paper and I was so proud of myself. Then the third essay was a current event or slash a self-chosen topic, and then the last essay was specific to my professor's section of the class, and we had to write a paper on who killed MLK. But you needed the textbook for this class and the required readings. You need those to do well in this class. Then up we have ESET 300, which is Foundations of Early Childhood Education, and it's a 3-credit quiz class. ESET stands for Early Childhood Education. EdCo stands for Education Core, so like core concepts of education, I guess. I love this class, but more importantly, I loved the professor. But basically, let's read the little description. It's a study of the early childhood profession, including ethics, early models, child care centers, Head Starts, and other preschool facilities, state and federal regulations, historical and societal changes, and contemporary trends. It's basically learning about like how early childhood education started and like where a lot of the things that we do now, like where it came from, and like people that studied early childhood, and that's basically what this class is about. We had a textbook for this class that we did need. Some key assignments for this course was a play report in a DAP portfolio and presentation, but we didn't have time to do the portfolio and presentation, so I can't really speak on what that is because I didn't do it, so I don't know. The play report is we had to make like a flyer. We had to present information about the different types of play, so like functional play, construction play, dramatic play, things like that. Oh, okay, so I remember now. There's a lab preschool on my campus, and so we had to watch a video of some of the kids playing, and we had to identify what type of play the kids were doing and take notes on it. We had to write a report, but she said instead of writing a paper, we could do like a flyer or a brochure or something like that. I believe I did like an infographic. I really should have pulled up my thing. Not trying to toot my own horn, but mine was amazing. I got a 100 on it. So. And the last course that I took the first semester of sophomore year was Read 330, which is the Foundations of Literacy for Early Childhood and Elementary Students. It was a 3-credit course. This course provides students with a foundational knowledge in the nature and progression of literacy development across the early childhood and elementary years. So yeah, basically we were just learning how students learn how to read. We learned the big ideas of reading, which is phonemic awareness, alphabetic principle, fluency, vocabulary, comprehension. Those are all very important to be able to read. Overall, this was a great course. I actually learned things that I didn't learn before. I don't know, I always like learning new things. With the ESET class, I did love the course, but some of the things I like heard about already. This was the textbook that we used for the course. Oh my, I was reading this textbook one time and there was an error, a spelling error or something. I don't remember, but I remember reading this. I was like, how is this a book about teaching reading and writing and there's an error? I mean, I know mistakes happen, but I thought that was just so funny. There was no real like big assignments of the course. We took exams in this class. Those exams got me. So yeah, we had 4 exams and then a final based on the content that we learned in this class. Okay, so that was all for the classes that I took my first semester. Now onto the classes that I took my second semester of sophomore year. This is when like I started doing like digital stuff, so all of my notes and stuff are on my iPad. First one really boring, but you have to take this at my school at least. Geology or physics, and because I took physics my freshman year, I took Geology 110 and 113, which is a lab and a lecture. I don't really want to go too much into that because it's not really directly related to early childhood. Kids actually really do like rocks. Expensive lab manual for this class. I struggled so much in this class, it doesn't even make sense. Then up we have math 393. So it was geometry, measurement, and data analysis concepts for teachers. That's basically what we learned. Again, we had exams and the final and the procedural fluency that we had to do. ESET 395, which is creative activities for young children. I did enjoy that class. This is a study of concepts and content including arts in the early childhood curriculum, methods and materials for developing creativity, room arrangement, and a review of relevant research. Yeah, so basically in this class we had to find like developmental and cultural responsive, well, appropriate activities for young children. We need the textbook for this class. The biggest assignments for this class is a lesson plan. So we had to do a process art lesson plan based off of a book. You picked a book and it had an art form that you had to implement in your lesson. Mine was really simple. It was just painting with brushes. The other options were like painting with random objects, collage, printmaking, things like that. And it is very detailed. You do it with a partner. She wanted us to write out like step by step everything we would do. And another thing is a flip book teaching. So we had to again pick a book and do either a finger play or a song with movement. And this is the book that I used, and I did where has my dog gone, where is my dog, something like that. And we also had to ask like appropriate questions during the reading. Then we have read 290, which is children's literature. I really enjoyed that class, but again I think it's because of the teacher that I had. I don't use rate my professor, but you definitely should, because I'm gonna have another one of her classes this semester, which I'm so excited. In this course, students will study children's literature from birth to grade 8 from the 20th century to the present. We went through like the different genres of books, like the history of the genres. We had a textbook in this class that we used. Big thing in this class was novel responses. We would have to read novels, and my professor was amazing enough to provide us with these novels, because I know my other friends, they took the same class but had a different professor, and their professor didn't provide them with these books, so they had to go out and buy them or find them themselves. But we had to read the novel and do a novel response. For example, we had to read Alice in Wonderland, and we had to like pick a scene from the book and recreate it. So I recreated the Mad Hatter's Tea Party, and we had to get significant items from throughout the book. For Holes, we had to read Holes, you know, like the Disney movie, and for that we had to create a guidebook for campers. So yeah, it was fun stuff like that. I really love how we were able to be creative. I think that was my favorite thing about the class. We didn't have to do like book reports. Everything, it was just so creative. Another thing that we had to do was a picture book project. So we had to create a picture book and read it to the class. Yeah, it is. So here's my picture book, and I don't know, it's just really, I'm not trying to show it too much because, you know, but it's really great. The people have some really great books and stories. This is something else that we had to do for the class. We talked about how like in books, illustrators use different medias. So we had to draw like the same thing using different medias. So here I have like markers, collage. This is like acrylic, stencil, color pencils, watercolors, so things like that. I don't know. Like I said, I really enjoyed this class. Then up is EdCo 220, which is assessment to meet diverse needs. Basically, we learned about the different forms of assessment, how to use assessments properly, and how to assess assessments. We learned how to tell if an assessment was reliable or valid. Really important, especially now that students are getting tested so much are we actually like, are the tests really worth anything? I don't know. It was a good course. Major assignment for this class was artifact analysis. After we learned like the different form of assessments, we would have to like a formative assessment. We would have to find a formative assessment and like assess that assessment, you know, analyze that assessment, like say if it was valid or reliable and things like that. And finally is VPAS 320, which is integrated arts. I didn't like this class, maybe because it was online. An active participatory study of the fundamental elements, basic creative processes, and aesthetic values within art, dance, drama, and music in the Western world as primary media for consumption, inquiry, and engagement in early childhood education classrooms. So basically we learned how to like integrating the arts with non-art subjects, and at the end we had to make an arts integrated lesson. So I did math and dance or something like that. I don't remember what I did. It was a really good course and I see the importance of it. I don't know, I just did not like doing it over Zoom. It was not my cup of tea, and especially because the class was at like 5 o'clock. Yeah, it was 5 o'clock to 6:30. I was like, is class over yet? I'm ready for dinner. Also, we didn't need the textbook, and the textbook was the same. The textbook for this class was the same as the textbook for ESET 395. So if you take these two classes, try to take them the same semester. But that was all for this video. Nothing too spectacular happens your sophomore year. I'm going to try my best this school year to show more of what it's like as an early childhood education major, especially now that I am in junior methods classes. I'm gonna try to do like a week or like a day as an early childhood education major, typical assignments you have as an early childhood education major. If there are any specific videos you would like to see from me about being an early childhood education major, please comment them down below so I can film it. I'm going to try my best because like I said, I got some good comments on this last video about saying how you don't really see Black early childhood education majors, which is true. You don't, like early childhood education majors, you don't see a lot of them on YouTube anyways. A lot of the education majors I see is elementary education. I'm trying to be the outlet for you all. I only have 2 more years to do this, but if you watch to the end, thank you so much, because I know a lot like about the class information stuff can be a bit boring. But yeah, I didn't really have anything to say about being a sophomore early childhood education major because there's not much. The only thing that's really important is applying for the College of Education. I hope you stay tuned for more, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and bye.